Hi, I'm JD, and what we're going to be doing today is simply going over inverse functions. First, an inverse function, what it is, it just takes the domain, the range, the x and the y, and it flip-flops it. So the range becomes the domain, and the range becomes the domain. It switches. But the question is, okay, that's good, but how can I determine if it has an inverse, and also if I'm given two functions, how can I determine if they are inverses of each other? Well, let me tell you. It's a good question. First, to determine if it has an inverse function or not, it has to meet the criteria of it has to be a one-to-one function. It has to meet the vertical line test. Vertical line test tells you, okay, it is a function. The horizontal line test tells you, okay, that it is one-to-one, and therefore it's going to have a inverse function. If it's a parabola like that, it fails the horizontal line test because it intersects the horizontal line more than one point, right? Those two places. So it intersects it more than once. So this fails. So this is not one-to-one. It's still a function. It's not going to have an inverse unless you restrict the domain. Here, it passes. So it will have an inverse function. Now, visually speaking, to see if it has, if they are, inverse of each other, they're going to be reflexive about the line y equals x. So, for example, if I take the cubic function, right, that is x cubed, the cube root function goes like this. Now my picture's kind of poor, but see, if I take the y equals x line, it's reflexive about it. See, it's almost like a mirror image about y equals x. So therefore, they're inverses of each other. So that's how you can tell visually. What about algebraically? Well, that's a good question. Algebraically, let's say that you have f of x and g of x. Right? I'm not going to give the label, f inverse, which is this, by the way, f inverse of x. Because that's what I'm trying to determine. Are they inverses of each other? Then I can give it the label, but right now I can't. When it's like this, it has to meet two criteria. First criteria is that f, fog of x, or f g of x, that has to equal x. Second criteria to determine if it is an inverse function or not is goof. Right? G of f of x, that has to equal x as well. And if it meets both criteria, they're inverses of each other. So then you can give it the label f inverse of x. However, if they're not, if they just miss one of them, they're not inverses of each other. And that's it.